from House of Gucci, Lady Gaga, Rita Ora, Lourdes Leon, Pussy Riot, and many, many more. Not just wanting for her own fashion career success, but also Moon Chang has her ultimate mission to educate young creatives who pursue to become fashion professionals in New York City. Currently, Moon Chang is working as a professor, panel critic, advisory board for brands and fashion schools in New York. And then let's move on to Filza. Filza Mumtaz. Filza is an amazing lady based in Pakistan. She's a social entrepreneur with a focus on advocating for women's economic empowerment and a community builder. Filza has been devoting her professional life working relentlessly as a social entrepreneur and women's leadership advocate. She's based in southern Punjab in Pakistan, and she's the founder of Shaks, a purpose-driven handicrafts and fashion enterprise that revives traditional South Punjab embroidery. And through Shaks, and she's basically creating sustainable livelihoods for women artisans. So just incredible. Her initiative has helped and saved over 10,000 women. They have benefited from access to income, training, and dignified work environments. We are here today in support of Filza's mission, hopefully helping many more thousand women and young girls in Pakistan finding their freedom and dignity restored. Thank you, Filza. Thank you for your incredible work. And then we move on to Kenya in Africa with our guest, Nyokabi Maira. Is the founder of Pambulato, a Kenya-based sustainable fashion brand, creating handcrafted, one-of-a-kind bags that merge African heritage with contemporary design. With a background in fashion, Nyokabi champions responsible production and works closely with local artisans, particularly young refugee women. So really well done, Nyokabi. And she's helping to build an ethical, people-centered supply chain in Africa, in Kenya. Through Pambolato, she's redefining how African fashion is seen globally. It's a very important step forward. As a refined, intentional, and rooted eco-fashion designer, building values that prioritize people, planet, and longevity. Thank you very much, Nyokabi. And then we will close the panel today with this lovely gentleman joining us from Texas, Samuel Akwo Adelowo. He was born and raised in Cameroon, and he's the founder and executive director of People Concern International, a 501c3 no-profit organization based in Dallas, Texas, that serves vulnerable children and women in creative skills in Cameroon and West Africa. Samuel will introduce today his humanitarian work and results achieved in the creation of dignified jobs for the Cameroon community. By presenting his work today, we are supporting his cause and helping a vibrant community by spreading his message and mission. That's all for me for now. Just, before we proceed with our guest, I would like to add, if any corporation, institution, or government representative would like to contribute to our guest's mission in supporting of their cause, you can message me directly for further details, or you can reach out directly to our guest. So welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. Let's move on to the first guest and keynote speaker, Dr. Liane Thiel-Rutkowski. So Liane is the founder and CEO of Impact Fashion Hub with the forthcoming book and anticipated release in 2026. She's returning to Enjoy Vintage podcast for a timely follow-up discussion on elitism in the fashion industry. In this episode, Liane will unpack elitism not as an individual behavior or branding aesthetics, but as a structural system that determines who profits, who is visible, and who absorbs fashion, environmental, and social costs. Welcome, Lian. So
thank you so much,
20,
Erie.
you
Thank
have
you.
20 minutes from now. We'll keeping.
Yes, and just kind of give me a nudge if I
I
start.
will.
Yeah, because I'll do my best to speed this up. And thank you so much for hosting me, and thank you so much. I'm very humbled being in the company of these amazing people. Just positive energy in the field, and I feel so great about this experience already starting this morning. And as far as the book, it is I can't really say too much about it right now because it's actually in a couple of publishing situations, so I don't even want to really say the title. It's so exciting. It's about the colonial behaviors between Denmark and Greenland, and they're basically, working on the creative economy development there, and the challenges that they have because of their location, the geo issues, and so forth. But it was heartening to hear Michael's update before we hopped on live this morning about the kelp development in California. Well, yeah, because that's part of what I will be talking about in the book as well. So it's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I'm very excited about it. But that's about all I can say about it right now. And basically, today I was thinking, how do we do the follow-up on the elite discussion that we've kind of been working through? And these are my thoughts. So this morning I returned to the Enjoy Vintage podcast for a timely follow-up discussion on elitism in the fashion industry. And here in this episode, I want to be explicit. Elitism is not about individual behavior, taste, or branding aesthetics. It is a structural condition, one that determines who profits, who is visible, and who absorbs fashion's environmental, economic, and social costs. Drawing on my work as founder and CEO of the Impact Fashion Hub, which has been one of the greatest experiences of my life because of the people that I've met, the lives that I've been able to impact, and how their lives have impacted my life. And my forthcoming books, which the anticipated release will be in 2026, I connect elite sustainability narrative to global waste colonialism, indigenous marginalization, and longstanding policy failures embedded within fashion supply chains. This conversation challenges surface level solutions and calls for structural accountability, equity, and reform across our industry, while also examining dominant global North sustainability narratives that remain deeply influential, even when empirically insufficient. And all of my thoughts today have been thoroughly researched and vigorously academically cited. I'm just throwing that out there. Elitism as a political economy, sociological and political economy. And I don't want to put you guys to sleep, but I think this is, in the restaurant business, you have the front of the house and the back of the house, right? You have the beautiful dishes and everything going on in the front, and then you have the work going on in the back. And I am the back of the house. Sociological and political economy scholarship is clear. Elites maintain power not only through capital accumulation, but through control of meaning, legitimacy, and standard setting. Pierre Bourdieu described this as symbolic power, the authority to define what counts as value, virtue, and knowledge. In fashion, sustainability has increasingly become embedded with this symbolic economy. Rather than functioning as a mechanism for redistributing power or reducing harm at scale, sustainability often operates as a status project, one that signals ethical sophistication while leaving extractive structures intact. And that's how it's baked in. This is why elitism in fashion must be understood systemically. It governs who defines sustainability metrics, who bears the compliance costs, and who captures reputational benefit, and who absorbs environmental and financial risk, yet again. And I started thinking, people in the industry, consumers, and so forth, don't have a true understanding sometimes of what does go on behind the scenes. So I started thinking about cotton, the invisible backbone of fashion. To understand how extraction functions beneath sustainability narratives, I thought we need to talk about cotton. Cotton remains one of the most important fibers in the global fashion system, and it is often framed as natural, biodegradable, inherently preferable to synthetics. Yet this framing obscures a deeply documented history of agrarian distress, indebtedness, and psychological trauma among cotton-producing communities, particularly, of course, in the global South. One of the most extensively studied cases is India's cotton sector. Beginning in the 1990s, there was a study that began. And during this period between the 90s and the mid 2000s, around 2009-10, India experienced a devastating wave of farmer suicides, particularly in cotton growing regions such as Punjab, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh. Peer-reviewed research and government data documents tens of thousands of farmer suicides, not just 1,000, tens of thousands during this period. Scholarly estimates frequently cite figures in the range of 30 to 40,000 deaths between the late 1900s and mid-2000s, with cotton farmers disproportionately represented. Importantly, no credible scholar attributes these deaths to a single cause. The literature consistently identifies a convergence of structural pressures, including rising input costs, dependence on privatized seed markets, and linked to global cotton markets, and even outcomes associated with the adoption of BT cotton. And what people don't realize is if you go into a store and say, you buy a Nike t-shirt, or you go into Walmart and you get, a Reebok t-shirt or whatever, that they see the cotton, but they don't really understand the story behind it. And with the BT cotton, it's genetically modified. So genetically inside the seed, something is replaced, and it grows poison instead of natural, something that you could naturally eat. So what happens is it grows in the fields, and these farmers are spending 60% of their budgets on the seeds and the herbicides and the pesticides, because what happens is sometimes these seeds become immune to the pests. So by the time they're ready to feed their family, they have no money left. And it leaves the soil, if they are unable to grow cotton, the soil is poisoned. So these are the effects that people don't realize, the long-term effects, how it trickles down to the global South. While it delivers benefits for some farmers, many smallholders have a decreased dependency on purchased seeds and all of that. So what happens? We have these wonderful farmers, okay? They're supporting the fashion industry. And then you see, you hear things like peace silk and the myth of ethical scale. Peace silk basically is produced from the silkworm, Samia ricini. It differs from conventional silk in that the moth is allowed to emerge before processing. So it's kind of a cool thing. And if you look at Stella McCartney's recent, silk scarf lines, it's completely advertised as peace silk. And people are thinking, wow, it's a great marketing concept. And essentially, it's geographically, of course, concentrated almost entirely in India, especially in Assam, Nagaland, with smaller scale production in other areas, West Bengal, and so forth. It's produced primarily by indigenous and rural communities through smallholder systems, which are family farms under 10 acres, who usually, their farms are used to produce food for themselves and for the local markets. From a global perspective, pea silk is statistically negligible. Silk as a whole accounts for less than 0.2% of global textile fiber production, and pea silk constitutes well under 1% of that 0.2%. So when you think about the damage that is done behind the scenes and the voluminous amounts of money, a price point on one scarf could be up to $400 US. So basically, pea silk cannot meaningfully alter the environmental or labor impacts of the fashion industry at scale. It's used for marketing. It's repeatedly elevated in luxury sustainable narratives, particularly in brands such as Stella, as emblematic of ethical leadership. In practice, it appears almost exclusively in tiny capsule collections, runway statements, or limited edition garments. Pea silk basically functions less as a system level intervention and more as a symbolic ethical marker. Its value lies in scarcity, not impact. It signals moral distinction to elite consumers while leaving dominant production volumes, sourcing geographies, and labor relations completely and fundamentally unchanged. So there we go again. The underserved, the indigenous, are carrying the weight on their back for the $400 price points. Something has to change. How am I doing for time? Okay.
You have 7 minutes and 25
Okay,
seconds.
I'll run through. I definitely want to mention this about Italy and Prado. I'm not picking on Stella McCartney. It's just that Stella and a lot of other elite brands, high street brands, really focus on these things, and they've really got this down. Okay. For example, made in Italy. And I started thinking to myself, 80% of Stella McCartney's products are produced in Italy. And I'm thinking to myself, really? So as it turns out, I started also thinking to myself, I said, that's interesting to me. I said, Prado is basically a network now that China operates in Italy, where they have factories and they produce, but they're produced by Chinese labor. They're produced in Italy, so it can say made in Italy. And who doesn't want something made in Italy because of the historic artisanry and so forth? But Stella McCartney's disclosure that approximately 75 to 83% of its production and material sourcing is based in Italy is central to how the brand communicates ethical credibility and luxury distinction. Within sustainability discourse, made in Italy functions as a shorthand for artisanal quality, regulatory oversight, environmental responsibility, and moral distance from global South exploitation. However, when this figure is situated within the empirical realities of Italian textile hubs, particularly Prato, a significant structural contradiction emerges. Since the 90s, Prato has become one of Europe's most globally entangled textile districts, characterized by the dominance of Chinese-owned factories, extensive migrant labor networks, and highly compressed subcontracting systems. While garments legally do qualify for the Made in Italy designation, the labor underpinning this label is frequently migrant, racialized, and precarious, operating under intense costs and time pressures that mirror conditions associated with outsourced production in the global South. This dynamic reveals how European sourcing does not necessarily equate to ethical production, but rather to a reconfiguration of globalized labor relations within the borders of Europe. Italian production in this context becomes a what? A symbolic anchor rather than a structural guarantee. Ethical value accrues to the brand through geography and reputation, while labor precarity remains spatially concentrated and socially once again marginalized. Basically, sustainability in fashion is not failing or has not failed because it lacks innovation. It has failed because it refuses redistribution. Until ethical narratives dismantle the structures that concentrate value at the top and risk at the bottom, sustainability will remain a language of elite virtue built on invisible sacrifice. If sustainability does not redistribute power, profit, and protection, it is not impact, it is performative. A fashion system that celebrates ethics while preserving inequality is not sustainable, it is extractive, and as I always say, by design. So when we ask whether sustainable fashion has become an elite project, the answer lies not in branding, but in structure. Until sustainability redistributes power, value, and authorship, until policy and enforcement replace symbolism, until those bear the cost who share in the benefits, sustainability will remain a language of virtue for the few, built on the invisible labor and sacrifices of the many. And that is precisely what this conversation exists to confront. So as we say here at the Fashion Impact Fashion Hub, we always say, restore what you deplete, revitalize the economy, country of origin, community of sourcing, contributing to the country culture, and renew, having a process plan for end-of-life waste to future of renewed benefits with mandatory conceptualization at the design phase. Our mission to transform the global fashion system by centering indigenous knowledge, which is the most brilliant on the planet, empowering local creators and empowering local creators, not using them as marketing tools, and building regenerative futures. We advance fashion that remembers its roots in culture and land, rejects systems of extraction and erasure, reimagines industry through equity, innovation, and healing. And you can get that follow-up on my website. Thank you. God bless. Have a great day. And keep on the fight. I always get so worked up.
We will.
Calm down.
Thank you, Leanne. That was such a powerful keynote from you. And definitely, you mentioned the key points for the path towards sustainability in fashion is to redistribute, rebuilding, and not ravishing the local resources and cheap labor. So that these are the key points. Basically, the fashion brands and all the big corporation, they should learn to work together with the local population, not using them and exploiting them and their resources. Thank you very much. It was such a powerful introduction. Thank you, Leanne. So let's move on to our second guest. I'm really honored today. It's a great pleasure, with great pleasure, that I welcome Moon Chang, a fashion designer and educator based in New York City, the founder of women's wear and pet wear brand. Moon's concept design is absolutely revolutionary. She's one of those rare and gifted sustainable fashion designers who cares for both pets and human. Um, She is the mind behind successful brands like Moonchang New York and Venus in Black. The main focus of her work is on sustainability for both humans and animals pet through a blend of couture and sportswear techniques. So it's the first time that actually I meet someone so gifted like Moonchang. Moon was won many prestigious design competitions from top industries institutions, and today we have her exclusively on our podcast, where she will present the muse that inspired her work, the story behind the foundation of this revolutionary fashion concept. Please welcome Moon Chang.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hello everyone. It's such an
Hi.
honor to join your podcast, Irene. Thanks for having me. So I'm the fashion designer and the founder of Moonshine New York and Venus in Black. Also, I'm a fashion educator based in New York City, teaching young creatives who are the future of fashion. So today I will introduce our brand, our motivation for sustainability, and also our material sourcing, product testing, a production process, and our customer story. Plus, I will also discuss our future projects if you have time. So first of all, I would like to introduce my brand, Moonchang. My brand was born with the love of my dog, Venus. As you all know, Venus is mostly received as the goddess of beauty. However, Venus is my muse, black male French bulldog. My brand is known for being sustainable luxury brand. The inspiration comes from the dog and fashion culture in New York City by combining couture with street and sportswear. And I only have two color palettes, which are black and pink. And my experience working at runway fashion brands and wearable technology, sportswear brands really helped me to build my brand and understand my customers. So we used to sell at Isetan department store in Japan, Dover Street Market in Singapore, Macy's in New York City, Schofields in New York City, and currently we're exclusively selling with Zalando Europe under the luxury sustainable designer brand category. We aim for sustainable and ethical approach to the design and production process. The brand goal is to elevate environmental, human, and animal-friendly lifestyle to enhance animal rights and to abandon toxic and non-recycled materials. And of course, we want to avoid animal leather and fur. I wanted to share our mission statement, which is create the boundless beauty of coexistence with human and animal, and with human and nature, do cute, do right, do serious, and Venus in Black. So I want to introduce my brand structure to explain how we got into sustainability. So my brand, Moonchang, has two different lines. One is couture line called Hybrid Beauty, and mainly focusing on traditional couture by implementing recycled materials with traditional couture fabrics. So you can see I brought little photos of my brand. The other one is Hereditary line, Venus in Black is a lifestyle and contemporary line inspired by my couture collection with the women's wear, pet wear for your furry animal friends. So I also brought some of the photos. So this is Venus wearing our friend.
It's so cute,
Yes,
amazing.
you
I
see
love it.
Venus. He loves to do fashion editorial shooting. Okay. You can also see him here as well.
Amazing, so innovative.
Thank you. So our brand, we want to use fashion as a treatment of mental health. That is the main goal. Using vulnerability and cuteness as a protective mechanism to fight against deadly stressful conditions in the current society. And I'm not a doctor or therapist. I'm just a fashion designer, but I still wanted to help people by bringing happiness to your fashion. And the reason why I slowly jumped into sustainability was because I realized that what I love, which is fashion, can hurt nature and humans, and it's not healthy. In the early stage, I believe the easiest way to be sustainable was choosing the right materials with durability, longevity, and of course, aesthetic. We wanted to portray environmental, social, and cultural dimension of sustainability, and as well as achieve the United Nations SDGs 17 goals. So this was my transition jump into the world of sustainability, and it's very challenging, of course, but we are very proud of ourselves for being a sustainable designer and brand. So I want to talk about the fabric selection. So in terms of fabric selection, I always follow my sustainability initiative and design to reuse principles. Especially when sourcing synthetic fibers, we source recycled materials with innovation. So either we use fiber from recycled polyester or polyester made out of ocean waste. Moreover, we put efforts into care labels and to educate our customer by providing all the information they need, because few recycled fabrics are fragile to heat or certain temperatures. So we use recycled nylon. Also, we use recycled nylon from discarded nylon-based materials like fishing nets and fabric scraps by transforming waste into new nylon fabrics. And we create fake leather out of it. So this has become one of our brand signature in-house handmade fabrication. And this can be wash-free and water and dirt-proof materials so that you can wipe with wet clothes. And also we educate our customer about washing and care instruction. And by applying the innovative materials, I can effectively extend the longevity and durability of functional couture. So I also wanted to talk about the chemical safety testing and sustainability certification. So as a brand founder who is responsible for product and textile safety, we do sustainability testing, and I need an obvious result and proof that we are sustainable. So we built a partnership with Intertech Lab, which is a global chemical safety testing lab. The process is we have to sacrifice 2 new final products with 15 main labels, 15 care labels, 15 trims per each style. For a short term, it seems like another wastage. However, these testings, we are aiming for long-term goal and safety. Customers can wear safe products we made, and is a proof that there is no chemical danger in our garment. And pursuing sustainability is the most difficult thing, of course, but as a designer, I could truly feel that I was contributing even a little to the restoration of the environment. So also wanted to talk about the production. As we all know, fashion industry is one of the highest industries which harm the environment. That's why we think very carefully about production process. So before COVID, we produced everything in New York City Garment District, and at that time, we sourced sustainable fabrics from Italy and Japan. And one point, we received big orders from our retailers, and the New York Garment District didn't take that much quantity, so they wanted to produce in China and Hong Kong and ship them back to New York City. And during that time, COVID happened, and due to the shutdown, I decided to move our production to South Korea, which is my hometown. And I get a small production team with craftsmanships, and also found local fabric mills where we are able to source local sustainable fabrics. And this was the crucial turning point of my brand production pace, because A, quality control with craftsmanship, B, ethical sourcing and sustainability certification, and C, language. Speaking the same language was very important. Communication is the solution to reduce production flaws. The most importantly, a simple supply chain. So we naturally jumped into the place and location-based design strategy, and it really helped my supply chain to be minimal and simple. And we aim to be responsible for what we design and create to make the earth less of a burden of waste, create healthier products, and safer and more ethical work environment. So I also would like to talk about the customers. So obviously we're into niche market, and we designed for the creative customers who are aware of the past, present, and also the future, and who want to create sustainable lifestyle. And I believe my customers are the ones who can change the world. My target customers are women in the age between 18 to 60, based in the city, actively work and play, have interest in fashion, art, sustainable lifestyle, as well as in love with their pets and animals. Please note that we do not have separate size categories. One size fits all, from X small to triple X large. I wanted to eliminate confusion of choosing a size, and I didn't want to categorize sizes with specific letters or numbers, because I believe all body types are beautiful. I use zero waste pattern making and draping techniques to create perfect silhouettes that fit a variety of body types and sizes. But in terms of doggies and animal pet wear line, we do have size, because we cannot overcome the different types of the breed and sizing. So I put a lot of efforts in customer education and building relationships with them. And as we are not just selling the garment, we are selling the whole experience of creativity and sustainability. So I wanted to talk about my recent collection that I introduced. So the recent collection I introduced was called Hybrid Beauty Season 3. We call that as Responsibility Collection. So my brand has different system of creating seasonal collections. So instead of creating a new season theme, we chose to continue the one storyline under the same theme in terms of sustainability. So, but with distinctive concept from each season, showing different stage of psychological and aesthetical perception. So previously we had Hybrid Beauty 1, Beauty versus Ugliness. The second one was Hybrid Beauty 2, Flashback. And third one, which is the recent one, Hybrid Beauty 3, Responsibility Collection. So it's about sustainability and responsibility. I believe every cute things that exists come with a sense of responsibility. And this collection was inspired by my brand Luncheng's sustainability initiative, which strives to cut excessive waste and promote sustainable, ethical business production practices through circular design and production. Especially the exclusive collaborations with European retailers lead me more serious about sustainable practices. Through this collection, I just wanted to criticize the current fashion industry. Even a small mistakes often result in the entire fabric being discarded. And I wanted to show there are no boundaries of beauty versus ugliness and right versus wrong. There is only responsibility for what we create. So in the upcoming year, I'm planning to create Hybrid Beauty Season 4, a beautiful couture collection made out of dead stocks and wastage. I look forward to making flowers and ribbons out of fabric wastes. Also, we recently did a collaboration with Animal Rescue in New York City, and we will further strengthen our collaboration for social impact to create a better community. So, yeah, so this is what I have prepared so far. Thank you so much for creating space for voices like mine. I'm truly grateful to be part of the conversation. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
That's perfect, wonderful, Moon Chang. It's absolutely perfect. I just want to ask you, as you are following as a designer, a sustainable fashion designer who is following all the right steps to be really sustainable and keeping the production in South Korea, I guess your production costs are horrendous. I mean, you must have really a lot of, you know, inflated costs because you're following all the steps, isn't it? All the right steps.
Yes. So definitely costing and having a right wholesale and retail price is definitely challenging. We do not, we want to be really transparent with that, but also we have to add a lot of overhead fee and miscellaneous fee for being a sustainable brand, because like chemical testing and sustainability certification really cost a lot. However, we try to be, we wanted to think about our customers first, so we do not want it to overcharge them. So we are really be careful and precise when we're doing cost sheet and try to benefit our customers. That's the first priority. So yeah, so it's definitely challenging, but being sustainable brand, as you all know, material is expensive and also production is very expensive because we just do small batches. But I mean, somehow we are surviving well, so I will just keep working the way how we've done.
Yeah.
And yes, so
yeah, that's great. No, I just wanted to thank you for your honesty, transparency. I really appreciate that. And also, you are just an amazing brand ambassador for all the sustainable fashion designers who actually cares first for the safety of their workers, the laborers, and the environment as well. So you are not there to profiting like all, you know, like luxury fashion brands, but you are there because you want to put forward a message first, saying, okay, we care rather than profiting. So this is absolutely wonderful and amazing work. And you are an amazing brand ambassador for the sustainable fashion industry. Thank you, Moon Chang. Thank you very much. We will keep the discussion with you later on. I'm sure there will be many questions coming up for you. And also I would like to keep, you know, giving you more space in future episodes as well, because you have an amazing, you know, collection to show us. Thank you very much, Moon Chang. Thank you. And now let's move on to our next guest. So we move on from New York City and we move on to Punjab in Pakistan. Please welcome this extraordinary lady, Filza Mumtaz. She's the founder of Shaks. Am I pronouncing correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Shaks.
Hi.
Yes, she's the founder of Shaks, an heritage fashion brand from South Punjab, focused on reviving traditional hand embroidery. She's a handicraft revivalist and sustainability leader, working closely with artisans women to build ethical, community-led livelihoods in Pakistan, of course. Thanks to Field's initiative, at least 10,000 vulnerable women and young girls have found a decent job and regained their dignity. Please welcome Filza. Filza, Thank you very much for taking the time and being here with us today.
Hi, thank you so much. I feel so overwhelmed that, you know, our craft is probably not given recognition at the national level. And thanks to you, I'm sitting amongst all these people who are actually working on sustainability and, you know, preserving these wonderful artisans, and how, you know, people talk about sustainability. We live in sustainability.
Exactly.
So before I begin and tell you, because I've kept a paper with me so that I follow a flow. Otherwise, I go, you know, out of the flow. There's a small video. I'd like everyone who doesn't, you know, exactly know how these women work, if you could share, I can share the screen, and I'd like everybody to see that, and then I can continue.
Of course, please go ahead.
Okay. Just a second. I'm not a very tech savvy person, so I need a minute.
Don't worry, you're in good company here, Filza. Don't worry. No one is a high-tech expert, so don't worry about it.
Here you go.
This is beautiful, Filza. So can you tell us a little bit more about the
Yes, I will. Just see the video, and then inshallah I will tell everything.
If there is any sound, we can't hear it, Filza, so you need to turn up the volume.
Oh, I thought we had lovely music. I wonder why that's not working. I told you I'm not a very tech savvy person. Oh God! But it was just it's just the music. They're not saying anything.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry.
How the process works, and then I will talk about it. That's such lovely music. I wonder why it didn't work. Local music. That's how they stitch, you know. This work that they're doing is called cross stitch. This is the finished product.
Sorry, it's called
cross stitch. Cross stitch is done in everywhere. Cross stitch. Everything's handmade by them. These are the finished products. So we had a team from World Intellectual Property come over to Punjab. So that's them visiting us. Okay.
That's amazing work. Really pure, well done, Filza. Pure artisan work. Yeah. Amazing, amazing.
I didn't know if the music was not working, because for me it was working.
Don't worry about the music. Don't worry. It's fine.
So,
okay.
After you've seen, so now you have an idea what kind of work we do, because living in Punjab and Pakistan, I know what hand embroidery and everything is. So I wanted the world to know what these women create. So back like 15 years back, living in Multan, it's a city in southern Punjab, which is not the provincial or federal capital, not even a fashion capital, but from a place which is a living craft community. I got married to a feudal, and we used to live on our own farms. And every morning they would come up to me and ask me for a bit of help and this and that. And I was a business student. I was never an art student. Anyways, they used to come to me and I used to say, God, and you know, I've born and raised in Multan, and I've seen these women work all my life, but never saw them with the eye that I saw when I got married and started living with them. And they were like just my next door neighbors. I told them, man, you have such beautiful art, you know, you make such beautiful pieces. Why are you even asking me for help? They were like, you know, we do these things, but we don't get enough money for it. So we don't want to work around it. We don't want to work on these because people give us pennies for it. I said, okay, don't worry. Instead that I gave them like a few rupees, which is like a few cents for their helping them, I thought, why not let's start working in empowering them. Whatever their issues are, I used to sit with them. They started becoming my friends, and we started talking to each other. And it's then that I realized that these women, I'm not exploring them. They're already there. They just need an avenue. So that point, I decided I will take their work and sell it and make it and show it to the world. And I just went to a few of my friends and I said, I want to start hand embroidery business and I want to work for these women. And they're like, oh, really? But who's going to buy from you? Nobody in Multan would want to, because it's our own thing. Why would they want to wear hand embroidery? I said, wait, I will make them wear it. They said, no, now the craftsmanship that once it was is no more prevalent. Nobody wants that. Intricate work has been lost. And then I spoke to those women and I said, why aren't you working on those intricate work? They said, because we're not paid accordingly. And I thought, how do I entice them? I said, okay, listen, let's do something. We put this trace that you saw, they put a trace and then they embroider it. I said, A takes this, B takes this, C takes this, and D takes this. And whoever makes it more beautifully is paid more. So it makes them work. And I said, time is not a limit because your pieces are timeless. You can take as much, as long as you want to, because it's not like if you're in a bad mood, you can't paint. You know, artists, they need a mood to do that. Why aren't these women considered as artists? Look at the work that they create. It's no less than an artist painting, which is hanging in the galleries of Paris. So that's how Shaz started. I had a lot of negativity around me, a lot of people telling me not to do it. It's not going to sell. I said, well, I'm not even doing it as a business to begin with. I just want to start it as a passion, because when I see these women, and forget business, of course, I need to make money to sustain myself and keep on giving them work. But it didn't start off, I didn't start initially it as a full-fledged business. I just thought it's going to be a passion project that I'll do for a few years and, sort of empower them and move on. But little that I knew that I fell in love with the work, and I used to, hours and hours of work with them, sitting with them on their charpais. It's like a traditional bed kind of a thing that they would sit and work on. Anyways, so let me stick to my paper as well, because I will go from right to left and left to right. So these women had a lot of talent, but they did not have, the dignity, the middleman. Who was the middleman? Middleman was somebody like us, somebody from other cities, taking their work, selling it, buying from them at 10 rupees and selling it for like 1,000 rupees. But since they did not have direct access to their customers, they didn't know how much he was or she was charging them. So I said, look, we are family. It's not going to be my business. It's going to be our business. Obviously, when you go up the value chain, you get a bit more of profit, which is fair, because, you are given more work and you given more time. So everything worked. And they knew it. And they said, yeah, we agree. We don't mind. I said, you have to tell me that I want this much money for this kind of work that I'm doing. Because we can't calculate the work that you do. It can't be measured. It has to come from your heart. How much do you want? How much hours you spend? So that's how the Shah's model worked. And they started working with me. And one fine day, there are a lot of donor sector working in South Punjab, what they always say is that we want to uplift the women artisans. We want to uplift the sustainable fashion. But what would they actually do is, since they are donors, they have a project, they come for their project, they do their optics, and bye-bye, ta-ta. So when they're doing their optics, they pay them overpriced. Like for a piece, which should be paid like 150, they would pay like 550, because then it's not sustainable. So what happens is, once their project ends, those women are not given work. So I told them, I am going to give you a steady source of income, that you will keep on doing your work, and I will, even if I'm not selling, you're going to get your work, because it's my job. If I'm unable to sell it, that means I'm a failure. You're not a failure. You're creating beautiful pieces. I'm probably not telling your story properly. I'm not probably pitching to the right people. So you're going to get paid no matter I sell it or not sell it. So, but when your intentions are pure, God helps you, people help you. And I didn't want to actually sell embroidery. I wanted to sell dignity. I wanted to empower them because, these women, unfortunately, the dynamics from where I belong is that these women work in the fields, they work in the houses, they do these embroideries, and most of their husbands are druggies. They're sitting at home and doing nothing, and these women are beaten, and it's very unfortunate. I don't want to portray this side of my country, but these are facts that everybody knows. So when they started to earn money and they started to earn good handsome amount of money, their level at home, their respect in the home and in the society started to elevate. And they started to have a say in making decisions at home, especially when it came to their daughters, because the sons were sent to schools, but the daughters weren't sent to schools. And I used to tell them, keep your daughters, keep teaching them these skills too, because in the coming days, more than the degrees, it will be the skills that these girls will have. So now I used to tell them, whoever sends their daughter to school will get more work and more money. They were like, why? I said, yes, because your sons will go to school in any case, because your husbands will send them. But you as a mother have to ensure that your daughters go to school so that they know their basic rights. So it's a beautiful relationship that I have with them. They're just like my family. My kids have grown up in their hands, and my kids know them by hand, by names. And they say that this work is done by that Masi and this work is done by that artisans. Anyways, so what happened is that when I started this work, I also joined the Chamber of Commerce, Women Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Multan. I started working there because since I had done my bachelor's in business, I wanted to explore my managerial side as well. And I really wanted that other women who are into businesses like mine, who are trying to preserve these handicrafts of Multan, because the city Multan is very, very famous for its handicrafts, for its Sufism, for its architecture. It's like a cultural hub of the country, Pakistan. But it's not given the recognition that it deserves.
That deserves, yes.
Yeah. So what happened was that I started that they are going to be the creators and I'm going to be their storyteller. I am nothing without them. And of course, they need somebody like me. So, I design, I market, and I tell the story, but they create magic with their beautiful hands. So what at the same time, when I was at the president of the chamber, what the donor sector and what the organizations were doing was they wanted every artisan to become an entrepreneur. And I used to step up and say, excuse me, you're not doing this, because if you do this, you're going to kill the art. They're artists. They're meant to create beauty. And they're not meant to, you can't expect one person to wear all the hats. We ask them to make the product, then market it, then, deal with the customers, and then do the marketing, then do the social media. Then it's not fair. We have to fight for the fair wages, fair shares. The whole value chain does not need to be exploited. So this is where my role became. I decided that I'm the storyteller and they're the creators. So that's how Shaz began. Shaz sings the stories of these unsung heroes of the Southern Punjab who create magic with their beautiful hands. So then I started, when I started to do this, I started to reach nationally, other cities. Forget hypocrisy of the world at large. I started to see the hypocrisy of the fashion world of my own country. People sitting in bigger cities, for example, like New York is a big city for US. So these bigger cities like Karachi and Lahore, the bigger names, they used to source from these women and then sell on their pages, on their websites, stating, we are a brand of sustainable fashion. Whereas not telling where are they sourcing it from? How are they bringing it down? They're sitting in other cities. They have no connection with these women who are making. They have a middleman who's getting their work done. So I said, we are somebody I live with it. We're not visiting communities. We are living within them. They're brands, we are brands who live with these communities. So we're not just stating that we're oh my God, I'm running out of time. I need to be quick. We are actually, we don't sell stories without credit, without consent, or without compensation. So that is what I'm working at right now, that I want to make sure that whatever product I sell, it takes my customer to the creator and tells the complete value. I'm trying to work on it to show them the complete value chain and to tell them we are actually a sustainable businesses, because we do not create fad fashion. We create pieces that are passed on to generations. It's slow fashion. It takes days and days to make. It's not a machine making it. It's a human hand making it. So, even for international markets, unfortunately, since we do not have IP protection, we do not have trademarks. So a lot of work has been our truck art and a lot of our embroideries have been copied by big names, even like Dolce & Gabbana, but we can't go and fight for it because we do not have IP rights. So recently I worked with WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization. But the thing with the craft is that Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, the subcontinent is so intermingled when it comes to crafts. Getting the IP right is yet another, the geographical indicator, getting that is yet another big task to do. But for that matter, we've decided that we will start doing smaller, because it's a very expensive process as well to get your designs trademarked. But we have, since I've registered my logo, but now I'm trademarked my logo, but I'm going to slowly do my designs as well. Because if we don't protect our designs, we lose our stories. Okay. In between, I forgot to tell you one thing. While I was started this business, when I joined the Women's Chamber of Commerce, so everybody told me, you got to go to France. You got to go to France. France is the market for handmade. Come on, jump the bandwagon. Internet was not that good at those times. Connectivity was not like what it is these days. So I went to France and I took all my unstitched garments and took them to France. And oh my God. And later I realized, oh my God, what would they do with these yards and yards of fabric? They would love to come, they would explore and talk to me about my products. And they say, oh my God, this is such sustainable fashion. You use organic cotton, grown in Pakistan, made by women of Pakistan. But what are we going to do with these fabrics? It's then that I realized I need to start innovating with the products that I'm making. I'm just making for my national market. I need to go international. But if I go international, I have stopped relying on my government, because I tried a lot of roundtables, telling them, let's make these products export-oriented, because people in the West, probably they have the buying power to buy these products, which are handmade, which are sustainable fashion. They actually mean, they can afford to explore such fashions. Nonetheless, the government only wants big export numbers. They don't want the cottage industry and those women-related industries to be given the recognition as a huge textile exporter or a denim exporter or a rice exporter. They would not. They say, oh my God, yeah, your products are really nice, but when it comes to numbers, we can't count in dollars. And then, these containers, how many containers can you export? I said, excuse me, it's not about containers. It's gift export. It's something that you're selling the culture of your country to another country. So it's then I realized, and that's what I'm working on right now, that I have to innovate with my product. I have to reach out to buying houses, to designers like Moon Chang, to them, so that they could, add maybe a little pocket of hand embroidery into their final product. And of course, it can add value to their pieces, saying that it's handmade, and we can give them the complete value, the complete supply chain. So this is what I'm focusing on now, and pitching to a lot of my textile friends that, if these products, if we make a pocket or a belt for you and send it to you and you put it in your final products, you can add a tag of handmade and it's going to double your price. But how it's going to help me is that there was going to be a sustainable work for my women artisans. And then I'm working on lifestyle products like cushions and scarves and, things that are
as well, for interiors as well. But
yes.
That's amazing. That's
incredible
work that you are doing, Filza. And you have the right business mindset to conduct this business and helping these ladies, these artisans in Pakistan to regain their dignity with a proper job and also artistic job as well.
And it's my dream to see their products in Paris and London and US, everywhere.
Yeah, it's not a dream, because I think it's happening, because now that, by giving voice to your project, you know, we can raise attention, international attention. So, and you can aim at international distribution, not just, you know, like luxury brands stealing basically
Yeah.
your concept and your work because, you know, they think they can. So
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Filza.
letting me speak.
Filza, that was an amazing speech and presentation that you made, and we have met this amazing, you opened the door to this amazing artisan work. Thank you very much, Filza. Thank you. And now let's move on to our next guest. So from Pakistan, we move on to Africa, Kenya. Nyokabi Maira, are you there? Can't see her anymore. Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Nyokabi, welcome. Nyokabi is the founder of part2, a Kenya-based sustainable fashion brand creating handicraft and one-of-a-kind bags. She will be sharing thoughts on redesigning fashion from the ground up, how African craftsmanship, responsible production, and people-centered design offer a blueprint for a more sustainable fashion system. Nyokabi's panel will also offer the chance to explore how fashion can be beautiful, meaningful, and responsible. Thank you very much, Nyokabi. So thanks for being here, and we are all ears.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today. It's such an honor. And also just listening to Moon Chang, Filza. I mean, it just gives me a sense of how fashion connects us. You know, fashion is a connector of, you know, relationships, you know, in the global world. And so I just want to do a quick introduction about, you know, about my home country, Kenya, and how I started out in this business. So I am born in Kenya. I have over the years studied fashion, and then I've worked, you know, in fashion houses. And over the period of my career, that's the time I actually interacted with community artisans, and I found that their craft is not being amplified well, and what they have in their hands is not going through the right channels as well. So over the time, I felt I needed to do something, you know, within my small space to start doing what I feel was right. And that was about training the artisans, mainly to cost their labor, because I found that was a very, very big issue, because you'd find like the middlemen would come in and they would just, you know, just buy off their craft at a very low price. And I would definitely see why now, you know, they're not even progressing in their lives. Their families are not even, you know, having a good education. So yeah, this is how now I began Pamboleto, which is the brand that passionately works with community artisans. And you know, 80% of them are actually young refugee women that during my career I met, you know, them in the community, you know, just without livelihood. And I thought my heart is really drawn to them because they have come from a foreign country. They're in Kenya. They're trying to, you know, wonder how they're going to make their ends meet and how they're going to be able to even settle in Kenya for the time they will be. So my heart was really went out to them. Yeah, and I started working with them slowly by slowly. So now we started making the handmade bags. So where the artisans come in, it's in the hand dyeing of the fabric. We work with canvas fabric, which is, you know, a bit tight, but we manage to dye the fabric. I just want to show you, like
Yes,
this is
please.
one.
Yes, show us
This
your
is
beautiful bags.
Yeah, so this is one of the bags that we are making. This is actually a new collection that we are just about to start rolling out. So as you
Can
can
you
see,
turn on
it's
the lights? Sorry,
tie-dye.
sorry, sorry for
Sorry.
interrupting you. Do you have an
Yes.
extra light so we can see more clearly? If you can, if you
Okay, let
have,
me
you
see.
can switch on the lights so we can see this beautiful
Can you
handbag.
see? Is that better? Is that better?
Yes, it's a bit better. Thank you.
It's a bit better, but yeah, I can share. You know, it's gonna be soon on social media. So you will be able to see the new collection. Yeah. So this is the, you know, the kind of work we do with the community artisans. We, as you can see, this is a grade 1 leather. So it gives it, you know, a luxury look, and our bags are very beautiful, as you can see, very chic.
Very,
Yeah.
very
So that was, yeah. That's just, you know, the introduction about me, how I started. And in this presentation, I just wanted to touch on how we redesign fashion from the ground up, because that actually sums up what our brand is about the artisans. How are we incorporating the artisans' minds in our production? So why fashion needs to change? Why do you think fashion needs to change? From where I see it, fashion prioritizes speed. As we have seen the fast fashion, what it does, it prioritizes speed. It's all about trends and much more profit over people. So you realize that when profit is ahead of people, the people will suffer. The people will not get a good pay. They will not get time to rest. They will always be churning and churning. You know, they will always be working overtime. There is no respect to humanity. You find also the makers often are disconnected from the decision of design. I saw that mostly you find brands are just, you know, come up with designs, and they go to the artisans and they say, okay, this is the pattern I want you to do. Yeah. And then you realize that even the artisan does not own that process, because you haven't gone there and respected that they have been doing the craft for this long, and tell them, hey, this is what I am thinking. How can we incorporate what this design to this design, or this colorway to, how can we combine this? Because I realized, you know, they have done this work over the years. And for, you know, for brands just to ignore that fact, then we are not actually empowering them. So that part we have to really, you know, think through it and see how we can make our systems actually work for, also for the artisans. When we're talking about sustainability, usually it's product focused and not system focused. This is why we are saying we need to build fashion from down up, not, you know, not focusing on the product alone, but also looking at the people who are actually producing for you. I know for a fact that sustainability is now almost becoming like a buzzword. You know, it's hard to just say, you know, we are sustainable. We use these kind of materials. I mean, it's really like, it kind of feel like it's hard to tell someone right now we are sustainable, you know, because now people have taken that, and they are now even, you know, greenwashing people and not actually talking about the real issues that are actually in part with sustainability. Yeah, so it's because it's more about the people, it's about communities, you know, just building systems that support the whole ecosystem. Yeah. So I want also to speak a little bit about the fashion industry in Africa and the global South, you know. The African fashion is rooted in creativity, care, and community. We know that African fashion and African garments, it has been always sustainable. As Africans, we are, you know, changing that to know that we have been sustainable all along, yeah? So when you look at how our mothers, how our great-grandmothers, how they used to care for their clothes, you would definitely know that Africa is very sustainable. They would mend, you know, clothes that are torn. You know, you don't discard that. You'd find them just, if it's a dress, they have to, if you know it's torn on over here, they'll make sure they get a patch from a jeans jacket, you know, on the sleeve and patch it. So you wouldn't find a lot of waste during that time. But right now, in the fashion industry in Africa, we find that there are a lot of systems that have penetrated, and especially the fast fashion mindset, where you find that now we're looking at trends so much, we're looking at colors. So that means that, you know, when everything is trending, you give it 3 months and you have to discard that because, again, you're looking for the next. So in our brand, we are talking about making products that last, making products that you can hand down, you know, to your children, and not just looking at the trends. Yes, we are, you know, producing and keeping our heritage alive, and at the same time, we want to make sure the global audience can also appreciate the craft. So we modernize it. We make it something that someone would want to keep, you know, whether you're using it here in Africa or you're using it in the UK, it's something that you want to keep and hand down. Yeah, so that's how we're looking at it in terms of the, you know, the African fashion. And more so, if I break it down to Kenya, we have a slogan that we say, buy Kenya, build Kenya, you know, that made in Kenya products. So we are trying to say that we want to build our ecosystems. We want to build our own. We want to make clothes here. We want Kenyans to buy those clothes so that we don't export labor. You know, we don't say, like, let's say, for example, it's Pamboletu now, you know, we're making bags and I have to go, let's say, for example, I go to China to source production, but yet I can do it here and empower the community within. So that's what we are trying to say. Buy Kenya, build Kenya, and for the world. You know, we have to build our home first and then build other nations as well. So I've said what we do at Pamboletu. We do handcrafted bags. They're very thoughtful, one of a kind. Yes, and I remember Mon was talking about the small batches. Yes, we do small batches. We do also limited edition production, and we work closely with artisans. And I think I've mentioned that 80% of them are refugee young women. Our bags are very functional, durable, and very meaningful. I was thinking about this presentation, and what came to my mind is the slogan, "I made your clothes." I don't know what comes to your mind when you think about "I made your clothes." I think for me, what comes into my mind is human, the human touch, and not a machine touch. So as we build our brands, as we build in wherever we are, let's think about the people who make our clothes. So that we make sure they are getting empowered at their level, yeah? So our design is, you know, very centered in terms of the artisans. We work very closely with them. When we are coming up with collections, we partner with them and we don't see them as laborers, but, you know, as partners. We respect their skills and time and we give them the dignity that they require. So every bag carries a story. Every bag tells a story of those young women who have come from different countries. Sometimes when we sit together and we are talking about life while we are doing the production, it's very interesting to hear their stories, because, some of them come to Kenya through very dangerous ways. One of them, I remember, she was telling me that she got a ride by a truck driver who gave her a ride to come to Kenya. And you can imagine, from a place like Congo, how many hours you'd be on the road to get to Kenya. And at the end, when she arrived, of course, the driver took advantage of her and she got pregnant. And now, as we speak, she has a 5-year-old child who is born out of rape. So you can see the kind of stories that they carry. And I usually say, like, when you buy our bags, you're carrying the heart of the women. Yeah, you're carrying that vibe they have around telling their stories. You carry that in our bags. There is a post I saw on LinkedIn recently about sustainability and fabric. She shared a video of she buried 3 garments. That's a year ago. She buried 3 garments a year ago. One was cotton, 100% cotton. One was wool, and the other one was polyester. So, and the video was showing after 1 year, she undug everything. And the first garment she took out was the cotton. Actually, cotton had really decayed, and it had, just small, tiny pieces that were remaining. Okay, so she put that aside, and she went and took wool. Actually, wool had started also decaying. It was not so bad, but when she went and took the polyester was intact. The t-shirt was intact. So you can imagine what some kind of fibers they do to our planet. Yeah. So at Pamboletu, we are choosing fabrics wisely. Fabrics that will not harm the earth. Fabrics that will die. That will die. They will not just stay in the soil, but they will die. Yeah, that's it from me. I'm so glad that I'm able to connect with everybody, and I'm looking forward to greater partnerships. Yes.
Thank you very much, Nyokabo. You tick all the boxes, right? Because with your work, you are being sustainable. You're not polluting the environment. Your fibers, the yarn, dies at a certain, stage. They will not remain in and polluting. And also, you are helping, vulnerable girls, young girls, and women. So it's all about dignity, creativity, and working together with Africa, with Kenya, outsourcing from Africa, not stealing from Africa, working together with your artisans and not just spoiling cheap labor. So it's actually okay for big brands, big corporations to work in Africa, same for Pakistan, as long as they are not spoiling the environment and the work of the local artisan. Thank you very much, Nyokabo, for this very intense presentation. Thank you very much, and for your work. Thank you. So let's move on before we have any further question to our final guest. So last but not least, please welcome Samuel Akwo Adelowo. He is the founder and executive director of People Concern International, a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Dallas, Texas, US. This organization serves vulnerable children and women in creative skills in Cameroon and West Africa. He was born, Samuel was born and raised in Cameroon, and today but now he lives in the US, in Texas, and then today he will introduce his incredible work aiming at restoring hope for a better future and a decent quality of life for young people in Cameroon. Please welcome Samuel, and thank you very much for being so patient and giving the stage first to this lovely group of ladies. So you've been really a wonderful gentleman. Thank you very much. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Hello.
Yes.
You hear me now? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. I was saying thank you for being so patient and waiting for, an hour and a half. But
no,
you're the gentleman. You're giving the stage first to this lovely group of ladies. So we move on from Kenya, from Africa, to Dallas, Texas, US. So we started with the US and we finished with the US.
Well, thank you, Irene. And my special thanks go to Dr. Leanne, who discovered me. And for me, my work is spiritual and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is to help people realize that in the present scheme of things where there is unemployment in Africa, Africa has to take things into their own hands, because there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources which can be transformed so that these resources can therefore provide things for young people who are taking risk to travel abroad, and they are facing a lot of things. I don't want to talk about that. You can read about it in the internet. You see a lot of young people dying in the seas, and many of them young girls engaged into prostitution and other things. And so my work, I could say, when I was in Cameroon, I participated. I had an organization called Creative Hands Organization, which was basically encouraging young people who have left universities. They have studied, there are no job opportunities. If you see the statistics in some African countries, particularly in Cameroon now with crisis, is ranging up to 80%. So you could imagine. And in Africa, when somebody is not employed, because we live communal living, children help their parents, and if they have no jobs, it is disaster. And in Cameroon, like other parts of African countries, the crisis have made a lot of people, as I'm talking now, they are Cameroon young people, because of what is happening there, who have run to Nigeria as refugees, and they don't have things. So what was I doing? What I was doing in Cameroon, belonging to the civil society as one who had been a lecturer, teaching entrepreneurship, marketing, that's my own profession. I was encouraging them, one, trying to transform them, because even war that happens in many countries is because people find themselves in situations where they are not productive. They don't engage. So when the politicians bring up things, who become vulnerable? The young people. And this is very sad. So I took it upon myself. And you remember, and I told you that my own education, I studied marketing, I studied business, I did all this, but I said, I have studied more in the University of Life. So thank you, Anne, and thank you, Dr. Annalie, for giving me this opportunity. Now to the point. What have I been doing? And meeting all of you here, to me, is a privilege. in the sense that I am not really sewing clothes, but I am encouraging young people to engage into things. And I've been with them, and all they keep asking is, how do you give us now certain opportunities? How do you empower us? How do you make sure that in those developed countries where we lack those tools, they can also help us so that we can continue, we can provide jobs for ourselves and help our families and our communities. So that's where I come in. And like I was saying, in Cameroon, in the northern part of Cameroon, there is cotton. In the part of some province, you know, they are very artisans. If you see productions in things that they do from the natural things, like I've told you, which are available in Cameroon, it's wonderful. I've attended many exhibitions where you see these young people, like what Balbo was talking about. You see how many of these young girls have transformed materials and done things which are really good. Because in AGOA, what were we talking in AGOA? We are talking in AGOA when the government engaged me, was to see that they produce things that are well done, so that at the end of it all, they should be able to sell. And now, as a marketer, when we talk of products, you must produce the finishing of products, must be fine-tuned, must be acceptable internationally for you to export. You don't just do anything. And that's where I thought of training. Training, and people, like I was just listening to Moon Chang, what she was saying, when I saw her work, it's well polished. It is done in a way where it's acceptable, where you do not just do things where people buy your products, they just use them for a few days, they are all this. I'm wearing this. When I went to Nigeria talking to a group of young children, that's the picture you posted. These clothes I'm wearing, these are tire, which is in Abeokuta, where young ladies are producing materials and they sew clothes, which they do. So Africa is full of talented, creative young people. So what did I think? So when things started going on, I started thinking of opening up a training center for young people so that they can also have things. Because one, for you to compete in the business world, you should be able to, like I've said, get good products, able to price your products, able to look for the markets, able to give satisfaction to those who want to buy what you produce. So I came up with this idea that we need a vocational center where other people can also come there, contribute, sell their know-how, bring up how they have been able to penetrate the markets in a larger place. Because if you say you want to export to Britain, it must be something, like I've said, good, that people in Britain will appreciate, in the United States and the rest of this. And the sad thing is that I also promote peace, because these countries now, most of these young people who are engaged doing things and who are also trying to move into behaviors like drugs taking, other things that they are engaged, crime and all the rest, is because a lot of them, because of the crises that are going on, have had access now to situations which is very pathetic, where they find themselves that they have access, instead for them to put their hands on deck, they only have access to certain criminal attitudes, which is not encouraged, like drug taking and so on. So what do? as a spiritual person, I also come to make them to realize that they came into this planet to provide a character which will be useful in what they do, which they will be remembered, not engaging themselves, because you have to transform yourself. If Moon Chang and Dr. Can be honest, for you to think well, great, you have to put yourself in a situation where you want to make sure that you are here to serve humanity. You are here to serve a larger goal. And with that, you begin to find yourself being creative. You find that you can't say, I am unemployed, because you begin to see avenues around you that you can use. So I go there to motivate them. I say all this, but this idea of the young girls now is for us to see, how do we build up a school? First of all, presently, I've been supplying tools. I even take my own money, yes, and help most of these schools, training centers, which they are being trained, which are attached to schools. And most of these young people who have lost their parents because of crisis, their orphans, as we've said, they are not even able to afford to buy the basic things for themselves. They haven't the money. So, but they are creative, because you have to encourage somebody who is creative. And if you go to my website, you see how these young boys, if I tell you buildings they do, the young ladies, if I tell you what they do, what they have been able to create, you will be amazed with basically using their hands, not having the machines. So I keep thinking, if we could provide them those tools, it will be wonderful. Cameroonians are very creative people. You can Google that to see, because if you go to Western Province, you see artisans, what they produce, things from wood, from metals. You go to the north, like I've said, crafts. You come to the west, where a lot of them they do farming, they do things. The young girls, things like seamstress, who are seamstress, who do a lot of things. So I was just looking at it in this sense that our governments all around in Africa, I'm happy you are talking of Pakistan, Kenya, Nigeria, and all. If these young people have these opportunities, they will not be looking at the government that they should be the ones to give them jobs, because the jobs are not even there. The jobs are not there. I'm honestly telling you, I am not a politician, but after many years interacting between the civil, and mark you, have served the Peace Corps in their small development program in Cameroon, the American organization. I think they should be in Britain. I don't know. They should be in Kenya, the Peace Corps. And one of the things too is that why I'm encouraging a school is that some of the people who have been doing the creative work, they don't have the entrepreneurial aspect of managing their little businesses. They need to be trained that as a business, you need to differentiate between the capital, things that you do, and different from just your own personal money, because you will not grow. Any business person who has achieved things is able to manage, is able to handle things in a way that he's able to keep accounts of purchases and expenditure. So these are things that I will do. And then I also believe that, like I've said earlier, that if we have technicians who also, if we have those schools, like we're talking with Dr. Lee, that I'll look at projects, sponsors that would do. At my age, you saw me in the picture, I'm 70. A lot of people don't think so. At 70, I want to live a legacy. I don't think I need anything in the planet which, how will I put it, than to see how young people, because if you see pictures of what is happening in Africa, the other day I was watching a picture where some group of people who were living in Cameroon, and the young guy was talking how they were moving from one place, the bushes, and some dying, even passing the corpse of their friends on the road, because I kept weeping and saying that you needed to be home and provide for yourself than to take this risk where you could afford. The land is very fertile. And the raw materials, we talk of sustainability, where you don't destroy the environment. Things are there so natural. Again, if you see furniture, what they produce. But here now we're talking of fashion, which young ladies are very interested in, and they are doing wonderful work. But many of them need to be trained so that they can also, because the world is a global village in the sense that the markets, you must have access to the market. Cameroon is a country of about 30 million people, but I also believe that if you have products which are well, like I said before, you could have access of a larger market, so that that income can also provide you to do things that will help not only yourself, they will be able to help you, help your community, and help your governments. So thank you very much. I was looking at the time. It will be a pleasure. I'm on the website, People's Concern. If you even type People's Concern International, you will see us, and it will be a joy. And I believe in one thing, which I will close up with. If you do not have people of integrity in this planet, anything we do is a waste. Integrity to me means you are doing something, like Moon said, you are doing something, caring for the animals, caring for the humans, caring for things with the totality commitments that even if you are not dead tomorrow, you are a blessing, not only to yourself, but to humanity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. Thank you for your powerful speech. Thank you very much. So basically, I was right keeping your speech at the end of the podcast, because we closed really with this wonderfully, because obviously we need also a mentor and coaching in Africa. Not just, of course, we need entrepreneurs. We need entrepreneurs with an integrity like New Cambo, like Fields in Pakistan, but we also need leadership. Leadership in terms of coaching and making believe to African people that a change is possible, and they don't have always to wait for someone coming from somewhere else to help. So they need to take things in their own hands, and obviously working together with Western countries, why not, but without being spoiled. Thank you very much to all of you. So we came to the end of the podcast, and it was really an amazing, vibrant set of guests today. So thank you very much for being here and bringing your stories, your life, and your professionalism. I don't know if there are any questions, if anyone wants to ask any questions. No? Totally, Anne. Please.
Well, I just want to say, first and foremost, this was awesome. It's just amazing that I got to experience being under the same roof with such incredible people this morning. I mean, where to begin? I would probably need another hour, but just to end up on Samuel, we have a say on Samuel's discussion on not waiting for the government to help, because what are they going to do? It's not just there. Ronald Reagan had a saying. He was, of course, the president of the United States, and he said, when you come, if somebody comes to the door, he said the 8 scariest words you could ever hear would be, "We are from the government and we are here to help." That's scary, because in the end, it takes the entrepreneurial spirit. It takes the spirit of humanity and for people to figure things out. So, Samuel, you are correct. And the fact that you have identified these gifts in Cameroon, and they're, you're moving this forward to another level, and doing the training and creating the center and so forth is just remarkable. And hopefully it can become a footprint and a template for others to follow. So that is just amazing. Moonchain, you are just, it's just, I don't know if I love people or animals more, right? You love them all. So your approach, your incredible gifts are just beyond, they're just great. And keep doing what you're doing. And it's so inspiring for me to see the you representing this new generation that gives us hope. And thank you for that. And then,
Yes.
and Philza, I hope you don't mind me commenting. I've got my notes here. Philza, you are hysterical. Oh my God. And it really,
Amazing.
I had no idea what anybody was going to say. I just sort of laid out this, a little bit of, my thoughts. But, you were right in terms of, just identifying that these amazingly gifted, talented stitchers, right? They need to get credit for what they're doing. And it's really their hands are doing this, their minds, their spirits. And it's a human touching something is just so organic. And so that's a beautiful thing that you're developing this. And I love that, you just kind of started tinkering here and there, and then, the humanity inspired you, and this is where you are. And it's just so remarkable. And here we are again. And then, Naya Kabi, your concept of sustainability is so spot on. It's not something that you learned out of a book, right? It was just something that came through your spirit. And the fact that you conceptualize these designs in your work as being forever pieces, right? And I love the burying of the underwear, right? I actually think I know who buried the underwear. I'm not going to say, but it was probably a friend of mine. But the one thing that I want to say too is the polyester issue. Please, people that are in India, Africa, the global south, the textiles, it breaks my heart when I see people weaving with recycled plastic, because that's all they have available to them. So I can give you my word that I'll keep fighting for, the boots on the ground, and you having access to your culture and the textiles, so that you're not getting the junk and being forced to reconcile that.
That's an amazing point.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing,
point.
in the storytelling from Nayakabi, the storytelling is so important. So thank you so much. It's the reality of, in the beauty of that. It was a natural thing. You just kind of, brought that to everybody's attention today. And I thought that was amazing. So the other thing is keeping in remaining steadfast with the idea that there is cultural appropriation, and that is just taking value from so many people, and to just keep an eye on it. So it's not just a buzzword. Sustainability in some ways has become buzzy. I'll move on. I don't want to take up the whole court here, but
No,
I
it's
just,
fine.
you know,
I think Michael has a question.
and Michael, thank you for being here and listening. I can't wait to hear his wrap-up comments.
Leanne, thank you. I very much appreciated your keynote. Very cogent, persuasive, informative. I look forward to seeing your book. I
Thank
wanted
you.
to compliment the entire panel.
Yes.
And to give my takeaway from this session, which distinguishes this group, this session, this experience from the previous ones that I've witnessed or participated in. And that is that I thought we really got into the social dimension of sustainability, the social and cultural, and even from Moon's intervention, the psychological, and from Samuel's spiritual, and others. This reminded me that although sustainability has become in some minds a kind of dirty word. I know, for example, one institute I'm associated with or participated in several visits with has changed their name to take sustainable out of the title and to put in regenerative. And although regenerative is a very, very refreshing and important concept, circularity is another one, they don't have, for me, the breadth that sustainability has, because it's founded on 3 pillars, beginning with the social, the second, the environmental, and the third, the economic, sometimes called people, planet, and profit, although I don't want profit there. I'd say people, planet, and prosperity. But these 3 pillars are what go into sustainability. Sustainable development, when I first heard of this term almost 4 decades ago, I thought that's an oxymoron. Development is by definition not sustainable. That's what I thought 4 decades ago. But now development is still living, breathing, kicking as a goal for the world, but sustainable is being questioned. And I think it's very important we retain that 3 legs of sustainability and keep the social dimension before us. And so much of what's happening in fashion is related to the social and cultural dimensions. We heard about that in Pakistan, we heard about it in Africa. We know that that is essential if we're going to be fighting for social and environmental justice.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you. I really appreciate your words coming from you. It's really, it's not a compliment, but it's an amazing statement that we are going into the right direction. And because I truly value your opinion and your insights. So it means that finally, after all this hard working, it's over a year and a half that I'm producing this podcast, maybe we're going to the right directions. So thank you for your insight, for giving, your, for being here today. So I think that today was one of my best podcasts because we actually had all the people who are actually working, they have boots on the ground. People are actually doing something to make a difference and not just giving theory or just, sharing, their ideas or theories, but you are actually the warriors who are making the difference and fighting this fight. So thank you very much. If there is no any, I don't know if anyone of you wants to add anything else, or no? I will just then thank you all for being here. Thank you, Lian. Thank you, Moonchang. Thank you, Samuel, Filza, Yukavi, Michael, and our guests for being here today. As always, the podcast has been recorded. I will share with you also the records of the audience and the reach of the audience. And in the meantime, I wish you a lovely Christmas or holidays, and I hope to see you soon on this platform. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Estando quelque chose.